the Dennett Solar Power Purchase Agreement and lease related documents. So Liz, are we ready to take action on these?
Yes, so you're ready to take action on these. And just to refresh your memory, this is for the rooftop solar project at Dennett Elementary School. I have the specific motion language from council. So if you'd like to read the language, and then one of you can move it as read, ideally.
Where's the language?
I have it up on my computer. Let me see if I can share the screen.
Okay.
Let me pull that up.
This is an item we've been working on for quite a long time, waiting for the documents to be finalized. John or Mark, do you have any questions? Liz sent us these documents earlier today.
No,
Liz?
Can you see my screen?
Perfect.
Okay. So this is the motion. I don't know if one of you wants to read it, if you can see it clearly enough, or if you'd like me to read it and you want to move it. But yes, this is the project that we've been working on since 2020. And it's the culmination of a lot of work between myself, John Williamson on behalf of the Dennett School Committee, and respective council for us and for Select. And also a lot of work put into this by Wendy Jones in the assessor's office.
Okay. John or Mark, any questions for Liz, or are you ready to proceed?
I'm glad to see this come to fruition. I think it's been a long road and it's about time. So I'm very positive on it.
Okay. And Mark, you're good too?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think back to when we first met with the people to start this, and we're informed how easy it would be and how straightforward it would be. And boy, it's turned into a slog. But yeah, also equally happy that we've gotten to this point and can finally move forward. Really nice teaching tool as far as I'm concerned, as well as the obvious cost savings along the way.
Great. Okay. All right. Yeah, I feel the same. All right. So I'll make the motion. Whereas town meeting has voted on May 12th, 2021 and on May 18th, 2022 to authorize the town to join Power Options and to negotiate and execute the necessary documentation to allow the development, installation, and maintenance of a solar facility on a portion of the Dennett Elementary School rooftop. And whereas the school committee in the town of Plympton has voted to surplus a portion of the Dennett Elementary rooftop and transfer it to the control of the town. Now, therefore, the Board of Selectmen votes to accept control of said portion of the Dennett Elementary School rooftop and hereby approves the lease and the power purchase agreement presented to it at this duly called meeting, and further hereby authorizes the chairman to execute the lease and power purchase agreement in the form presented at this duly called meeting, and any other documents necessary to effectuate this vote as recommended by the town administrator and special counsel.
And I did send, all right, so that's your motion. And I just need to take note who seconds it.
I'm glad to second.
All right, so motion and seconded by Mark. Roll call vote, Mr. Trainer.
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Mrs. Joy, yes. Okay.
Now, if you need, I did already share both the lease and the power purchase agreement with the board. If you need an additional copy, or if anybody on the meeting wants me to pull the document up, I'm happy to do that. But it's the same as what was sent to you earlier today.
Great. Thank you, Liz, for that. Okay, next item is the Turkey Swamp purchase and sale, another item that we've been working on over time. Are we ready to sign and vote on this agreement tonight?
We came really close, but we ran into a couple of snags along the way. Not to get into too much detail, but involved with the subdivision of the land that the seller will continue to retain ownership of as versus our stuff. And apparently this is going to have to go to the planning board, both of Plympton and Halifax. So it's going to take a little bit more time. We have long known how slow and convoluted these processes could be, and they're living up to it. But we are making progress. I checked with town council today, and he agreed and suggested that maybe I make a motion to save time if we get to the point of the purchase and sale being done, of the following: acknowledging that it's likely that there may be a few small editing changes and there may be a change in the closing date, to authorize me to agree to terms if we reach to a point where the purchase and sale is ready for signature. So essentially authorizing me if there are not major changes other than the closing, so that we can move this thing along.
Are you looking for that motion and vote tonight, Mark?
Yeah, if that's possible.
Okay. John, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay. All right. So Mark, you made the motion that you'll be our designee on this, and John seconded. So roll call vote, Mr. Trainer,
Yes.
Mr. Russo,
Yes.
Mrs. Joy, yes. All right. Thank you, Mark. All right. The next item on our agenda is the opening of the warrants for annual and special town meeting. This is something that the board does every year. So Liz, this is just a simple motion to open up the warrants?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Any questions or concerns, John or Mark?
No.
About opening the warrants?
3 months till town meeting.
Woohoo! All right, so I'll make a motion that we open the warrants for the annual and the special town meeting for, what is this, FY '24?
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay. All right. Do we have a second?
A second.
All right. Roll call vote. Mr. Trainer,
Yes.
Mr. Russo,
Yes.
Mrs. Joy, yes. Okay. Next item, acceptance of election calendar and ballot for the 2023 annual town election. Tricia, did you want to speak to this?
I think you have a copy in front of you
We do.
of the calendar, and I reached out to the boards and committees to see if I left out any one of those available terms. There was just, I think everything was in order. It was approved by the state. And the only thing I wanted to talk to you was about early voting by mail and in person. So I'll let you just vote on whether you accept the calendar and the ballot. And then I'd like to just talk to you about that.
Sure, you got it. Okay, Mark or John, any questions for Tricia on the election calendar and ballot for the 2023 annual town election?
No.
I'm good.
Okay, all right, I'll make a motion that we accept the election calendar and ballot for the 2023 annual town election as presented by the town clerk. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, roll call vote. Mr. Trainer,
Yes.
Mr. Russo,
Yes.
Mrs. Joy, yes. Okay, all right, Tricia, you've got the floor.
Okay, the early voting by mail is now a permanent thing in Massachusetts. It started this summer when they voted to the Votes Act was approved. So the thing that the selectmen have the responsibility for is holding a hearing to discuss and decide whether or not you want to opt out of early voting by mail. You may not want to opt out, and that's fine. But if you do want to opt out, it does require a hearing at least 45 days before the election.
Tricia, do you have a recommendation on this?
Well, this is it is every local election has the choice to vote to opt out, depending on the election. For this election, I would say opt out of voting by mail, just because sometimes we end up sending quite a few ballots that don't get returned because people want to vote in person anyway. So we did see some unreturned people who, they requested a ballot. They thought that they would want to mail it back to us, but it never was finished and they ended up coming to vote in anyway. So it's a little bit of a cost, and I don't think for our local election it's necessary. That's my opinion.
And Tricia, don't we offer mail-in voting anyway? People just would have to come in and request the ballots?
Well, it's actually called absentee voting, and there are criteria to be able to obtain that. So the people who fall under the criteria of being out of town for that day, whether it's on vacation or a wedding, or not being able to come due to physical health and medical reasons, or for a religious reason, those are the three ways that they could obtain an absentee ballot. But it's limited, so it's not available for everybody to get a mail-in ballot, just an absentee.
So it sounds like, Tricia, this is something that it's not one and done. We would, if we opted out this year, every year we'll have the ability either to opt in or is it just opting out?
It's just opting out, and that's
Okay.
kind of the confusing thing, and that's why I came on the call tonight is in order to have early voting in person, you have to opt in to that one. But in order to not have early voting by mail, you have to opt out. So it's a little bit confusing.
Tricia, if we wanted to opt out, is there a template for the hearing notice that you would be able to provide?
I could get something for you. I just wanted to let you know that I did notice that Halifax has posted that they're going to have their hearing. I believe it's the 28th of this month. They put it in the newspaper, but we were told that it would be a regular 48-hour posting for the hearing, just like a meeting, and it does not need to be printed in the paper unless it specifies in our bylaws, and that's maybe why they needed to post it in the paper.
Okay.
Just to be clear, Tricia, if we opt out of voting by mail, there is still the opportunity for absentee ballots under very specific circumstances. Is there going to be early voting in person as well, regardless of whether we opt out of the mail thing?
Well, that's the one that you have to opt into, and the criteria for the selectmen to be able to opt into early voting by mail would be for 2 out of the 4 of your registrars. 3 are appointed by you, and I'm one. I'm the 4th, just by default. 2 of us would have to, in writing, tell you that we recommend that we have early voting in person.
That sounds confusing.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah,
On the absentee ballot, do they have to come in? How do they get the absentee ballot? How do they request it, and how do they receive it?
There's one online. They could call and we could mail them the application. There are permanent absentee ballot people in town who we automatically send the application because it's an application that you have to do yearly. So we automatically send it to their address every year with an envelope so they can send it back to us.
My initial reaction is I'm not in favor of opting out, but I'm especially interested in making sure that all seniors and disabled have the opportunity without having to show up someplace to be able to vote.
Right. So those permanent absentee voters have already received their application.
But do you know that in fact they've all requested it? In
Well,
other words, there might be other seniors that have never voted.
I'm not sure of the question. What was your, am I sure that?
My understanding is that the open election was to make it easier for people who might not have voted to also have the opportunity to vote. And I'm thinking of seniors that might not have taken advantage of it in the past, the absentee ballot, but under the open would think about doing it. You know, we have a lot of seniors in town that when we go out to them and ask them just for some information, we get a return of 20%. There's 80% of those people out there that hopefully this was going to give them more flexibility to vote.
Okay, so I want to just talk about the language. So you're saying open and you're saying absentee. So there are two types of voting by mail. One is absentee and the other one is just early voting. So it's early and absentee. I'm not sure what you mean by open.
Okay, maybe I misunderstood.
That's okay.
I thought
That's right.
the early made it easier for people who might be disabled or seniors that don't get out.
Well, the absentee covers that category. If they are unable to drive, they don't have a driver's license, they're unable to get a ballot, they're unable to come to vote in person, then they fall into the category of being able to receive an absentee ballot.
Do we have to vote this tonight?
No. And we could talk about it more too. So we have another 6 weeks before you have to have the hearing.
Could we get a little more information? And maybe
Yes.
I'm just a little confused and we'll just put it on the next meeting.
John, you have every reason to be confused. It is a very, all the new laws that they put in place in this summer are, I don't think that they were very well thought through, and they didn't discuss it with any municipalities or clerks or anyone who runs elections. So it's very confusing, and I can give you all the details and answer all your questions, and you don't have to decide tonight.
And I would just follow up with John. I agree. This is very confusing. If it's confusing to us, it's going to be all the more confusing to citizens. So I'm glad we're going to have more time to think about it, because I think we all need to get a better handle on it. I am leaning toward the simplest for our citizens to understand, one, but two, as much opportunity as possible to vote. Which I think would mean not opting out of voting by mail. But I agree. I think we need to think about it a little more. And but I'd much lean toward that. Whatever's going to be the least complicated to understand, and whatever's going to offer the most opportunity for people to vote.
You're muted, Christine.
Tricia, can we put you on the 227, our agenda then to talk about it then?
Sure, and I can give you the literature. I think I gave it to you this summer, but again, even just reading the Votes Act is very confusing, and some of the information of how it pertains to federal elections as compared to how it compares to local elections differ. So I will definitely give you all the information you need, and we can discuss it so it's more understandable for citizens as well.
Do we need a vote to pass over this, or do we just table it?
Well, it wasn't on our agenda.
Part of it was not on the.
Oh, I see. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just, I just thought it fell into the local election, and that's why I wanted to give you information.
Well, I'm glad you introduced it because now we can talk about it next week. So that's great. Or on the 27th. All right, so perfect. So we'll revisit this on the 27th about the local elections and early voting and what action the town will take, if any. Okay, so thank you, Tricia, very much. Did you have anything else for us tonight?
No, I think there was just one thing that we can discuss that night too, or I think I sent Liz the information that we will need a new registrar appointed. Their terms are different than the appointments that start on the fiscal year or new hires or elected officials. That person needs to be appointed before April 30th.
Tricia, if you don't mind resending that to me, that would be appreciated, and we can make sure that we put that on for the 27th as well, if you can send the info.
Yes, and I'll remember to remind you too. But yeah, I think I sent that in with the ballots and the calendar.
Okay.
That information it was in the same email to you.
All right, then I do have that if it was part of the same email.
But that's all right. I'll send something else along too.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Tricia, very much. So we'll see you in a
You're
couple of weeks.
Very good. Thank you.
All
Have
right,
a good
thank
night.
you. You too.
Thanks.
Okay, so next item on our agenda is to nominate Mark to represent the Selectmen in power supply, the RFP process. So our contract has expired, or it will be expiring, Mark, and you want to represent us?
The contract, actually, we signed the last contract 2 years ago. We signed a 3-year contract, so we actually have a year to go. Turned out pretty well. We've certainly saved citizens some money along the way. Colonial, which is the electric aggregator that we're working with, contacted us, letting us know that while the rates were kind of high, they are going down, and I think they might reach the point where we might want to take another look at another contract along the way. So what they're asking for now is merely that one of the selectmen be authorized to move forward with seeking an RFP if the rates got low enough that it felt like it was favorable for us. It's always a crapshoot on this. It's a little like predicting interest rates or the weather. So far, each time we've committed to a contract, we've won. We've offered people as well an all green option. This is a program that any citizen can opt in or opt out at any time they want. So a good program. But to the point, at this point, we just need one of us able to communicate with the aggregator if they feel like it's time to move forward.
John, any questions for Mark?
Nope. I'm all in favor.
Okay. All right. So I'll make a motion that we nominate Mark Russo to represent the Board of Selectmen in the power supply RFP process.
I'll second.
All right. Roll call vote. Mr. Trainer.
Yes.
Mr. Russo.
Yes.
Mrs. Joy, yes. Okay. All right. So next item, BOS meeting schedule. I think this one was yours, John.
Yeah, I put this on not necessarily to get a vote, but to start thinking about it. One of the things I've found is that there's a lot of meetings on Monday nights that conflict with ours. Finance committee, recreation, etc. And in terms of reaching out at times to say, yeah, I'd like to be at that meeting, it seems to conflict. And Tuesday night, I'm not sure if it works for you all, but it would also save us every once in a while, like around the holidays, especially Christmas, New Year's, we run into the situation where a Monday holiday forces us to then move out our schedule. So I would like us to at least think about it, and we can come back and vote it after we've had a thought and see if you're for or against.
Do you want to put it on the agenda to revisit this on the 27th?
Sure, but I'd like to get some insight, yeah.
Okay. Mark, do you have anything you can add right now?
I mean, I hear you, John, about other meetings on Monday night, and it is a little frustrating sometimes because occasionally one or more of those I'd like to attend. On the other hand, we, the selectmen, have met on Monday night for a really, really long time. Honestly, my life is set up, and that I have a lot of commitments already through the year on Tuesday. And so it'd be a real challenge for me to switch all that stuff.
I'm kind of in the same boat. Old Colony Planning Council, we have our financial meetings on Tuesdays. So a Tuesday would be a little rough for me as well. But John, if you want to discuss this more on the 27th, we can certainly do that.
No, I mean, if you're already, I'm not going to try to force a vote that doesn't make sense. So let's just table it for a while.
Okay. All right. And then Bree, how about warrants paid?
Hi, sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries.
$35,091.96.
All right. $35,091.96. Great.
Correct.
Thank you, Bree, very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Liz, town administrators updates.
We've been working through some issues at a couple of our town buildings. The heating system, that replacement took place at the old townhouse. So that's been completed, and the Council on Aging and the different groups that have activities in there have been informed that the building is back open and ready for use. So that's good news. And then the library, we had a little issue over the weekend. So we had our heating vendor out there today, as well as the vendor who's doing some insulation work for us. So I think that hopefully that's settled, at least for the short term. Longer term, for the next round of Green Communities funding, we've asked our vendor to prioritize looking at the finishing off the library heating system. We think that with a few more mini splits, they would have been better positioned to make it through that cold snap that we had a couple weekends ago. So hopefully they can be finalized and completed with any heating system work through this next round of grant funding. We're also going to be looking at putting the overhead energy efficient heating units in the garage bays at the highway department. We had a lot of success with that same type of project at the fire station. They're very happy with their heating upgrades. So we're going to look for funding for the highway department for similar project. And then we're going to see where we're at as far as totals, and if there's anything that we might be able to do either at the townhouse or the old townhouse. Currently, based on age of the building, it doesn't appear that there's a whole lot that would be eligible at the police station this year anyway, but maybe in a subsequent year. So we've been working with them on potential for grant funding and all of that.
The old townhouse, Liz, were they able to fix the furnace, or were they replace it? Replaced. And what about the library?
So the library was a slightly different issue. It was corrosion on the boilers, the very old units. And I'm not sure. As of later this afternoon, I did not have a status,
Okay.
But they are working on it.
I know we met to have at the Library Speakers Forum, and it never got above 47 there.
Ooh.
Right.
It was, but we got hardy Yankees that hung in, so that's good.
So
Use the books to make a fire?
Well, we had 27 people, so we just kind of crowded around and warmed each other up.
Perfect.
And I don't see anything here in correspondence on my end.
Awesome. Great. Thank you, Liz. Okay, so we've got the minutes from January 23rd, 2023. Did you guys get a chance to read those?
I don't think I saw them, or I missed them if they were.
I did. Was the very brief meeting after the executive session. Liz gave a town administrator report. Well, we can save them for next time if you didn't have a chance.
I'm all right. If you read them and they're fine, then I don't have an issue with
Well, I wrote them, but.
Yeah, Mark did the minutes.
it.
And they
Well, in
were
that
pretty,
case.
they were pretty concise. Because we didn't do much after executive session.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my
that's true.
fingers were tired. I didn't want to type a lot. No,
Why don't we hold it? Why don't we
Okay.
hold it till the
Very good.
23rd
Very
or to
good.
the 227?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So next, our next meeting will be on 227, followed by March 13th. Mr. Burke, you're on the call with us. Did you have something that that you wanted to meet with us about?
No, thank you for asking, but no, I'm just listening.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. It's nice to have some company. All right. So last item is Selectmen's raves. Who'd like to go first?
I'll go first if you want.
Mhm.
I had a resident reach out to request help with moving a large object in their house in order to make room for a hospital bed. And I knew right where to go. I called the fire department, fire chief, and he contacted both captains, Davis and Schusted. And within an hour, they had put a team together, and an hour after that, they were able to move the object so the hospital bed could come in, which would allow for the resident who was at the hospital, had been there for the better part of a week, to come home. So kudos to the fire department. As always, they step up and did a nice job, especially on short notice.
Very nice. Mark, do you have a rave?
I do. It seems like over the last few weeks, we've had a lot of kind of emergencies or things to be dealt with over the weekend. The old townhouse, the library, the extreme cold. And so my rave is for Liz and many other town employees, Bree in particular, but a bunch of other ones as well, who have mobilized each time these things have come up on the weekend. And it's reassuring and really a pleasure to know we have talented, dedicated people working on this stuff when it comes up.
True. We appreciate all of your efforts after hours, because it's not easy. And a lot of, as Mark said, most of it is emergency situations where we just can't wait until Monday. So thank you so much for coming to the townhouse and taking care of those things. My rave is going to just be for the beautiful nights, clear skies, and kind of tipping my hat to Barry DiCristofano and his articles in the paper about the stars and how beautiful it has been to do some stargazing, and the full moons have been amazing the last week. So just how lucky we are, I guess, to live in such a beautiful place. All right, so we have gotten through another agenda, so I will make a motion that we adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second,
All right, roll call vote. Mr. Trainer,
Yes.
Mr. Russo,
yes.
Mrs. Joy, yes. All right, good night, everyone.
Night.